Good afternoon and happy Friday. Welcome to Cat Chat Live. My name is Nancy Stevens. I'm in the UK's Office for Student Success. I'm responsible for parent and family communications, and I am so glad that you have made time to join us today for what is going to be a fun conversation. For those of you who attended your students' orientation this summer, you recall that a highlight of your day had to have been the What I Wish My Family Knew student panel. For some of you, that was a few months ago. For some of you, that may have just been a week or a few days ago. But the panel is always such a fun opportunity for parents and families of incoming students to hear directly from our first year experience ambassadors, our experts in the current student experience. And so I'm excited that you get a virtual opportunity to connect with them today. We've got a great team assembled and we will be introducing them shortly. But as always, I like to start these Cat Chat Live off with a little bit of housekeeping, especially if you have not participated in one of these before. So this one is a little different. Normally we tell you with a Cat Chat Live to hold your questions until the designated Q&A piece, but because this is a panel, we welcome your questions about the UK experience, things you want to hear our first year experience ambassadors respond to. You can drop those in the Q&A here in Zoom at any time. We'll take as many questions as we can. In the allotted time, we try to keep these Cat Chat Live webinars at an hour because we know that you all are busy folks. If you're not able to stay for the whole time, no worries about that. This webinar is being recorded and the recording will be posted in the Cat Chat family community later today. So you can look for it there and maybe talk to your Wildcat about the things that you learned today there. If at any point after today's webinar you have questions about UK, don't hesitate to email parents@uky.edu. And as always, we love getting feedback from you on how we are meeting your needs. And so you'll see a survey link after today's webinar. Just a few quick questions asking you how today's webinar met your needs and what questions you still have about UK. This is really just the start of our robust summer series of Cat Chat Live webinars done with the families of our incoming Wildcats in mind. So Monday, we will be chatting with the housing office. They'll be walking you step by step through Big Blue Move-In. On Wednesday, we'll be chatting with UK Hospitality about dining on campus. And then you can see on your screen some of the other topics that we have coming up into early August. There's a few dates I couldn't even fit on the slide that we have later in August. But all of these are going to be opportunities for you to ask questions of offices on campus and to get more details about your students' UK experience. All of the recordings, as I mentioned, can be found in the Cat Chat family community. All of the registration links for those Cat Chat Live webinars are there as well. I hope you're taking full advantage of all of the resources that are there in Cat Chat, the ability to customize your email newsletters. So let us know how often you want to receive those email newsletters. I hope you will use that Discover Communities feature that you see there pictured on the screen. That's where you can join different groups of folks who have experiences like your students and again, see that targeted information that most applies to their UK experience. So those are kind of my housekeeping and advertising things that I want you to know as we get this Cat Chat Live underway. And now I'm excited to turn things over to my friend and colleague and partner in crime, Nikki Jenkins, our Director of Parent and Family Engagement. And I'll let her and Kate take it away here in this What I Wish My Family Knew virtual student panel recap. Thanks so much, y'all.
Thank you, Nancy. We are very excited to be here with our Wildcat families. For those who I haven't met yet, my name is Nikki Jenkins, the Director of Parent and Family Engagement here at UK. I am here with my colleague, Kate. Kate, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Kate Bauman. I am the Assistant Director for Parent and Family Engagement. Welcome.
And together, Kate and I are here as a support system for all of you. We know that your students have a lot of support systems on campus, different options for academic resources, health resources, you name it. But we also know that you are the ones that they're going to go to when they have questions, concerns, when they're not sure how to navigate a process. And so we want to make sure that you have everything you need to help your students achieve the goals that they have for themselves while they're here at the university. And so we are here to be a support for you. And what that looks like is that you are welcome to give us a call, email us, follow us on social media, direct message us on social media. We are here to help answer questions, to provide consultation, to give you any tips or advice that you might be looking for, or maybe just to help you navigate any processes that come up that you aren't really sure how to navigate. We want to be here for you. So please do not hesitate to reach out to us. And we get excited when we get to talk to families. Another exciting way that we engage with families throughout the year are through different events. And so Nancy, if you'll go to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about Family Weekend. We hope that you have marked your calendar for Family Weekend, which is September 25th through the 27th. This is a really exciting time for you to come back to campus, to check on your student, to experience UK traditions. We encourage you to book your accommodations now. Hotels do fill up pretty quickly during football season, and we have high hopes for football season this year, so know that it will be a really busy time. Registration is now open for Family Weekend through the Cat Chat family community, so you can register today if you have not already. Our event schedule is available on the Family Weekend website, as well as the UK Parents and Families mobile app. And if you're looking to get some really outstanding Family Weekend game day gear, we have some t-shirts, sweatshirts, various apparel available online as well. And it will get drop shipped to you, so mailed directly to you this year, so you don't even have to worry about picking it up. It'll come to you so that you can have it ready to go for Family Weekend. So highly encourage you to come back that weekend. Really want to spend that time with you and experiencing all that campus life has to offer on Family Weekend. But without further ado, I will go ahead and get started with our What I Wish My Family Knew student panel recap. Now, for those of you who came to a Merit Day or Big Blue Nation orientation, you may have seen a What I Wish My Family Knew student panel. And we have some of our best panelists here to give you some insights into what the student experience is like. And so throughout this time, we're going to be taking questions through our Q&A feature, and we'll be trying to get to as many questions as we possibly can. So let's get started with some introductions, and we'll let our students start that process.
Hello, everybody. My name is Grace Riley. I'm a senior studying psychology. I'm planning to go to nursing school next year after I graduate, so that's super exciting. I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky, and I would say one of probably the biggest challenges that I faced coming into UK was definitely like kind of being unsure of honestly what I wanted to do. I was pretty freshly 18, so I was still figuring things out and all of that stuff. But one of my favorite resources here on campus has been the Stuckert Career Center. I've met with some advisors there for some major exploratory, and so they've just been very helpful throughout the years, figuring my life plan and everything like that out for me, as well. Just some other resources as well that I've really enjoyed too.
Hello, everybody. My name is Addison Matlock. I'm a sophomore studying middle level education for math and science. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. And one of my biggest challenges was I'm from out of state, so kind of getting comfortable in the Lexington area, also with the actual state of Kentucky, and then getting comfortable with my college life and how I'm going to be away from my family and my sister was kind of tough for me. But something that I really like that UK does is things like Family Weekend, where they tell you about events like Keeneland or events like K-Week. And the first week before classes start. It's just really helpful for me, especially somebody who's new to the area and kind of figuring it out. So I really like that UK stresses the citywide events, but then also the UK events as well.
Hello, everybody. I'm Taryn Coburn. I'm a sophomore from Ashland, Kentucky, studying English and political science on a pre-law track. And one thing I struggled with when I got to UK was studying. I didn't really have to study in high school, like at all. So I didn't know where to I didn't know even where to start with it. And so I didn't kind of bomb that first test and really realize I needed to lock in. So I sat down with my academic advisor and she really just like laid it all out to me. She was like, you can go to office hours or you can go to this study, things like that. And it really helped me with office hours. I just liked getting that one-on-one contact with my professor.
Okay. Hey everyone, my name is Stefan Rida. I'm currently a sophomore going into my third year studying neuroscience on a pre-medical track. I've lived in a few different countries, but I do call the beautiful island of Jamaica my home. And coming from Jamaica and moving to America, I didn't really do anything in high school, so I saw it as an opportunity to try every and everything. And I did in fact do that. Like some things didn't stick, but some things didn't in fact stick. But with that, it came the immense pressure of like studying for my classes while also doing everything that I wanted to do and also having fun as well. So with that, I was struggling with actually the balance and time management aspect of it. And one thing that really helped me was the integrative success coaching because they really sat me down and helped me to kind of make a plan how to balance everything. I know I'm achieving great things and I'm balancing everything and I'm also having fun.
Excellent. So as you can see, we have students who are doing a lot of amazing things from a lot of different places and have experienced the university in very different ways. And so hopefully we'll be able to answer some of those questions from their perspective throughout this time together. Again, feel free to drop questions into the Q&A as we go. But to kick things off, let's ask a question about when you're thinking about move-in, getting closer. I know our families are thinking about the move-in process. What's one thing you wish you had worried less about before starting college? Something that you've worried a whole bunch about, but once you got here, actually wasn't that big of a deal.
Moving from Jamaica, like I thought it was going to be extremely stressful because I was going to be here by myself and would have my mom with me. But coming here, it was a pretty smooth process for me, being honest. I didn't have to worry about anything. I didn't feel stressed at all. I have another perspective actually working as the RA because we have a bunch of like volunteers, RA or Ds who actually participate in the whole moving process and know that I'm one of them. I see the immense work that goes behind the whole process. And my advice to you guys, don't really worry about it. Like, don't be stressed because if anything, we're the ones that are going to be stressed. You guys are going to be fine in the long run because we're there to make it an easy and smooth process for you.
I think one big thing that I was really worried about before starting college was really just making friends. I feel like I had a really great group of friends in high school, and we kind of went our separate ways. Going into college, I did happen to room with my best friend from high school, but we also kind of were like, well, we need to kind of branch out and go to different events and things like that because we're not interested in the same things. We weren't the same major, anything like that. So at the end of the day, she really couldn't just be my only friend because I would be seeing so many other people throughout my days and things like that. But I guess I just wish that I had worried a little less about that because at the end of the day, I've made my friends through, working at this job here as well as just really through my classes and joining organizations and things like that.
Bouncing off of what Stefan was saying earlier about like dorm stuff, I was very worried about like moving into a dorm. I was going in with two random roommates, so two girls that I had not met before, and I was worried that there would be maybe conflict or something would arise and it would just all go bad. But when you get there and you move in, your RA will give you like a paper that you fill out with your other roommates and stuff. And it's just an agreement and it's like what time do you want quiet time to be or when are you okay with noise and things like that. And it just really does help you like one it's you all down to it kind of forces you all to talk and it get like lets you be closer, and two it just stops any conflict before it even starts because they can just pull that out and be like, well, you all did sign this and say that you all wouldn't do this and that. So that was one thing that I was worried about, but that is the way that they like make it not stressful.
I think something for me was definitely like the timing of moving in. I was a little nervous because I came from out of state. We were at a hotel. My mom was kind of like telling me, how much time do we have to move in? And I was like, well, we made our move-in appointment for 30 minutes. Do we only have 30 minutes? And so I was kind of nervous. But once I got there, um, you really have the 30 minutes to unpack your car, which I didn't know until I got there. So that move-in appointment is just for you to unpack your car on the side of the front of your building. And then you guys can put everything into your dorm, as I did. And then you park at Kroger Field, and there should be like buses or shuttles that should take you back to your dorm or close to your dorm. So then you have the rest of the day to move in. And that's something that I was really nervous about. But then once I got there, it was a super fun process and I really enjoyed.
I love that. That's all really good advice. We've had a question come in, which is great, and I think this is could lead into some other space of talking more about move-in. But we had a parent ask about, if they're bringing something that needs to be built, a shelf or like a stand or something like that. Should they build it ahead of time, or should or can they do it on the day of? In your experience, what works best?
In my experience, I built everything before I got here because I'm just a very forgetful person. So like I would have forgotten a screwdriver or something like that. But I think it definitely will like depend on where you're coming from and like how much room you have with what like you're bringing to campus. But like shelves and things, it just will save you time like recycling all the paper and like cardboard. And then it just is one less like big box to carry. You can maybe use it, and like I know from my shelf I put like the drawers in it, and then I put stuff in the drawers so that it was like less stuff for me to carry up to my dorm. So I think it definitely depends on like how you look at it, if you think building it here would be easier or if you think building it at home would be easier.
I will say we see a lot of families with toolkits, and they show up with toolkits and they're always missing, the one tool that they need to build something, right? And so sometimes it is a lot easier if you can build it ahead of time than to build it ahead of time. If not, make sure you bring those tools that you're going to need to do that for sure. Well, since we're talking about moving and things to bring, what items were really helpful to you in your residence hall? Were there shelves that were helpful? Did you have rugs, lamps? What are the things that really made your rooms homey for you?
So I really liked having like little fairy lights that I hung up on the walls. Um, it took me a couple of days, honestly, to hang them up, and I just didn't really want a light or a lamp because I thought it might be too much light, and I don't like having like the lamp on the ceiling fan and things like that. So I really liked having my fairy lights that I hung up across my wall and things like that. And it just really made it feel homey, kind of cute, kind of aesthetic. So that was probably my favorite part of my dorm.
Grace, how did you hang up those lights? Or how can people hang up lights in the rooms?
I had like command hooks. I didn't have like they're metal hooks that like kind of curved a little bit and moved around. So they weren't just stuck in the wall. But yeah.
Excellent. Just to clarify, there is a difference between, having command hooks with fairy lights and then the LED strip lights. Those LED strip lights are not permitted in the residence halls because they do so much damage to the walls for that. What other items should you have brought? Did you bring a TV? Did you, what else? What are some other things?
To make my dorm homey, I didn't bring that much decoration, but I am very much like a picture person and just like little sentimental things. So like the amount of just like little knickknacks I had, because there are so many spots to put it, like you have your dressers and your desks and stuff. I had knickknacks in like every corner of my room and like picture frames all over, just because it reminded me of like home and the people that I'm like going back to and like for Christmas break and stuff.
For me, I know I brought a night table that my mom bought off Amazon. I think it was very helpful. I remember when I came here, I had a lot of devices. I needed a lot of outlets. But we were kind of looking around the room, but I got my night table and we plugged in my night table. I got one of those things with lots of outlets, you know. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, those like lots of outlet things. And then I plugged it into my night table and I was able to charge all my devices. But it's also just some extra storage for you, besides those dressers and things, so that you can kind of put those little knickknacks, as Terrence said, put it up. I also had a clock as well, which was really helpful. So the night table, I think, was definitely a thing that I brought that I was like, yes, please bring if you can.
I love it. I love it. These are really great options. What about TVs? Should students bring TVs with them?
I think if you're a big TV watcher, then yes. I brought one, and if I'm being honest, I think I turned it on maybe twice. I don't even know, like the remote got lost whenever I was coming back home. So it's just definitely personal preference on the TVs. There is spaces like you can put them on things, but I just don't watch TV, so like it didn't make sense. I'm not bringing one back in the fall.
I think so many students use their iPads or just their laptops now. So yeah, that's good advice. If you're a big TV watcher or you play video games or whatever it is, maybe you need one, but otherwise you might not necessarily want to give up that space for a TV. So we had a couple of questions come in about some logistics. Luckily, we have an RA on our panel. So I'm going to throw this one over to Stefan. Stefan, are the beds adjustable in the residence halls?
No, they're not. Like
No.
they come with a standard height and everything, so we would recommend you actually adjust it because that could incur fees that will be billed on your account.
Yeah, so they're not adjustable. There is a lot of space under the beds. Stefan, what size items can go under those beds, do you think?
Okay, so just for reference, I'm 6'3", 220 pounds, and I can fit comfortably under the bed. Because I'm usually under there because I lose a lot of my jewelry and stuff, so I always be under the bed crawling. So if I can fit, bunch of things can fit. And plus, I usually keep like all of my suitcases and bins under the bed, so there's a lot of space under the bed.
That's a good thought. The bins will slide under there really well, and that makes it easy to store under those beds for sure. Absolutely. All right. All right, so we have another question. This is just a logistical question about the residence halls for you, Stefan. The cabinets that you get in our residence halls, are those stackable? Do they come unstacked? What's the layout for most of those rooms?
Okay, so there's a dresser that you can have, and they come in two separate parts that you can either stack them or you can keep them as separate. Like me personally, I did them separately because I wanted one to be at the bottom of my bed and one beside my bed, just for the aesthetic of it. But if you prefer it to be stacked, like you want to have one central area where you can put all your stuff, that's also an option as well. So yeah, you can stack it or you can keep it separate. And it's not too heavy either way, so you'd be fine with it.
Excellent. Now, for some of our other panelists who lived in the residence halls your first year, did you find you had enough storage, or did you need some extra storage while you were there?
I felt like I definitely had enough storage. I feel like the dressers definitely worked for me. I did have some extra bins as well. Like I brought a bunch of towels. So I had put some towels in my dresser and then some in my storage bin under my bed. So I think it's definitely a balance, but also it kind of depends on what you guys decide to bring and what your student wants to bring and how much they actually want in their room. But I did feel like there was a lot of storage, especially for my clothes. I have a lot of clothes, I have a lot of shoes, and it all fit perfectly in my closet. So I definitely feel like I had a ton of storage.
I would have to agree. I think that one of my tips with the closets is like if you have a ton of clothes that you're planning to put in the closet and hang up, there's these like hangers that can hang multiple on them that you clip and then you hang it. So then they're a little flatter. But definitely recommend those if you're planning to have a lot. As well as I got a shoe organizer. So I had like two different tiers to put my shoes so that they wouldn't just be all kind of laid out on the floor, but I put that in the bottom of my closet as well. And I didn't have any problems with anything not fitting or anything like that.
Is there anything that you brought with you that you brought home pretty quickly because you weren't using, or maybe just sat in your closet and took up space that you wish you didn't have?
Right next to my shoe organizer actually was my box of pots and pans because I told my parents that I thought I was going to be cooking a lot more than I did. Um, and at the end of the year, the box was still sitting there at the bottom of my closet, unopened, untouched, everything like that. But also, like, if your student is not like me and is more interested in cooking in the dorms, there are, kitchens in the residence halls, but yeah, you can also check out some pots and pans if you would need them from the front desk. So I really didn't even need them in the first place.
All right, so no pots and pans. What else, Taryn?
For me, I didn't even get to bring it to campus, but like I bought it and didn't look at the list until after my like return date was a candle warmer because I love like my dorm smelling good and stuff. Like you can't have candle warmers, but you can have like the little wall plug-ins. So I like to recommend those to people if you want like your room to smell good and stuff. And also just like before you buy anything big like that, to double check on like the list of like you can and cannot bring if you can bring it to campus or not, because they will like if they see it when you're trying to bring it in, like move in, they'll tell you that you can't bring it and that you can't have it on campus.
That's a great resource. And we'll see if Kate maybe can drop that into our chat so you can find it pretty easily, that what to bring, what not to bring resource. What about the winters? I know we got some folks from pretty far south coming to Kentucky. Does it get really cold in the winter? What types of apparel do you need to have on campus in the wintertime?
So like Nikki said, I'm from the South. I'm from Georgia, so the winter definitely hit me a little bit. Um, but I would say definitely a really big coat. I know my mom bought me the UGG coat, and it was like really long and it's really fluffy and it's so nice. So I definitely recommend a longer, really big coat. I know like for me in high school, I would say like, oh, it's embarrassing to wear a coat. No, you need the coat. You definitely need the coat. Mittens as well. Mittens. I loved my mittens. They were pink and they were sparkly. I love them. And then also snow boots or snowshoes. I wouldn't recommend Uggs. I fell many a time, so I would not recommend Uggs. I definitely would recommend some snowshoes or shoes that can kind of um walk on the snow a little bit better so you don't trip.
That's good advice. A lot of students also prefer like rain boots because it does rain quite a bit. Kentucky's green for a reason. It rains here. So a lot of students will use those as well. What other rain gear would y'all recommend?
I would recommend investing in like a good umbrella. Like honestly, maybe spend some money on this umbrella. I bought a little cheap one and it's flipped inside out on me multiple times. The last time it dropped my phone in a puddle as it was flipping inside out. So it's just invest in like a good umbrella and maybe a poncho too, because like it comes from every direction.
That's great advice. Depending on where you are on campus, you might be hitting some wind, so you want to be covered. That's good advice. Okay, so we have a couple more questions about living in the residence halls, and then we're going to shift to another topic. But I have a question about vacuums in the halls. Are there vacuums on each floor? Do students need their own vacuums? This is all, based on the assumption that students are going to vacuum, right? Their residence halls. So what's the vacuum situation in the halls?
So I think it's up to personal preference, honestly, because like there's a common area in every dorm and it's wooden floor, but in your personal room there is rugs and stuff. So if you do like to vacuum, they like you could also bring your own vacuum, or if you aren't gonna vacuum that often, you could also check them out at the front desk because in every dorm there is a vacuum that you can check out at the front desk. Sometimes it's not available, so if you wanna like pay for convenience, I would recommend that you actually get it. Because for me, I would always be vacuuming and stuff, so I brought my own. So yeah, it's up to personal preference. But if you don't want to bring it, you could also check it out at the front desk.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, let's talk a little bit about, we have a question coming in about renting or buying books. And so when you're thinking about um, getting your books for your first year, when should they get them? How should they get them? What are some tips that you have as they're thinking about those books for the first year?
I would definitely say I had to get some books for sure for class, my second semester especially. So I would say I would probably wait until you get to the class, maybe go to the first couple days. The teacher or the professor will tell you if you need a book or if you need to go buy like a lab notebook. I had a lab my second semester. So I would definitely wait until those first few classes, kind of wait until the professor tells you to do so. And then I went to the bookstore up the escalator and they had all the books that I needed. So, yeah.
I would actually say I'm kind of the opposite. Sorry, Addison. But I think one time my freshman year, I kind of took that advice. I had heard that all over social media and things like that, like don't buy your books early, whatever. Um, and then when I first went to class and we were starting doing the assignments and, learning the material and things like that, then I was like, okay, I do in fact need the textbook for this course. But then they were on back order. So it took me like, I couldn't get it at the bookstore, the UK bookstore, because they were all like back ordered. I had to wait to get it on Amazon and like they were so expensive. I just couldn't find them anywhere. So I guess, it kind of depends. For me, like I always now check the syllabus and things like that, closer to the start of the semester to see what the professor recommends and what textbook might be needed. And then, you can always like reach out to other students that might have taken the course before to see if they've needed it before, and then kind of go from there. And then you can order it ahead, so you're not like me and it's on back order.
So we got some different opinions. So it really just depends on, your student. If your student is the type of student who feels like they need to be super prepared on that first day of class and they want everything ahead of time, then maybe getting your books ahead of time is great. If your student can wait and wants to just make sure they're only purchasing the things they actually need, then maybe they want to wait until they get to class and double check with their syllabus. They should be able to access their syllabi ahead of time so that they can see what classes need which books as well. So, and all of that is done through Canvas. So definitely some different options there. Okay, let's talk a little bit about dining halls. Okay, so we had a question about dining hall hours, which you'll be able to find online. That's gonna be the best place to find when the dining halls are open. But besides the two main dining halls, what other options are there on campus for meals? Especially if the main dining halls are closed. Like if they close at a certain time, where else can students find food? Nobody
So,
wants to jump in, but I know y'all eating Chick-fil-A. So talk to me about it.
so two of the big ones, we have the Big Blue Pantry, which is free for all students with that student ID. So kind of like a grocery store is how I like to think of it. You can kind of go maybe bring a tote bag, or maybe you have like your little, you think of your tote bag as your little shopping cart, and then you go to the Big Blue Pantry and you kind of get everything that you need, and then you can get it for free with that student ID. And then we also have something called the One Cafe, which is where you can get a full meal for only $1. taller, which I think is super nice. So those are like the two main things that I'm thinking of.
What other restaurants are on campus?
Um, so if you're living on campus, and you have like a dining plan, my freshman year when I was on campus, I had some flex dollars, which is where I could use those dollars on my account and use those at the retail restaurant location. So you would always see me at Chick-fil-A, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's Panda Express, and then there's just a ton of new options now coming in as well. So there's a lot of those options too.
Absolutely. There's typically always something on campus available for students, whether that is through our pantries, whether that is through different restaurants on campus. And of course, student organizations are giving away food all the time, trying to get students to come to their different things. So we joke a lot about how, especially during K week, that first week before classes start, we say that if students are having to buy a t-shirt or purchase their own meal, they're doing K week wrong. They're not going to all the right events. And so we did have a question come in about K week, so I thought we could talk a little bit about K week. The question is specifically about whether or not students will have time to buy books during that K week time. But just in general, talk to us a little bit about what the K week experience is like, and maybe some tips for our students as they are preparing for K week.
So K week is basically the week before classes start, and it's just a whole bunch of events, kind of letting students kind of dip their feet into the college life and kind of getting into the deep end a little bit with all these events. I definitely think a piece of advice that I would give is to kind of lead into those K week leaders. Your student will have a K week leader and a K week group of just students around them. So I definitely will advise your student to lean into those K week leaders. They're there to help you, and they can also become your new friends. I know I was really close with my K week leader, and I saw him throughout the school year, and I was like, hey, how are you? Things like that. So I think K week is super fun, but that's just my piece of advice for your student.
And you can also find the schedule more in August, closer to that move-in time on UK Guides. So I was real close with UK Guides and like putting everything in my schedule, planning to go to all of these different events. I would say that you definitely still have time to get your books or run errands if you need to go to the grocery store or something like that. It's really up to you how many events that you go to, big and small, whatever your student might prefer. One of my favorite events was the involvement fair, and that was just where there were a ton of different tables from tons and tons of different organizations. We have over 700 organizations on campus. That's such a big number, and there were not 700 tables, but there were a good amount. So they had a ton of stuff, and it was just such a great experience. I went with my roommate, but just learning about all of the different events that they do, and even meeting the people that are members as well.
And I will say, talking about the involvement fair that Grace is talking about, that's also where we had a question about where students can find information about religious services and religious organizations. That Campus Ruckus during K week is going to be a great place. That involvement fair is going to be a great place to find information about all different sorts of things on campus, including those religious organizations as well. Okay, we have a question that I know is just going to make y'all excited to talk about. All right. The question is, would you enjoy receiving care packages from home or not? And if so, what would you want in your care package?
I would love to. My parents didn't send me any care packages just because like I would go home a lot. Not even a lot, but I would go home and just like steal all of their things. So like they didn't need to send it to me. I was just taking it. But like definitely toilet paper is expensive. Addison knows this. Toilet paper is expensive. It doesn't just show up. It's there. You have to buy it. And just like little things like that, like the things that maybe your student isn't used to buying for themselves, that maybe you have been buying for them, like toothpaste or like little things like that. And then also just throw in some like gift cards. I'm a big advocate for gift cards. Please, like a gas card or like a Chipotle, anything like that. There's so many options of like dining on and like surrounding campus that you could just like quick Google search and be like, oh, my kid would like that.
My mom definitely gave me a lot of care packages. Um, I remember after moving and she had left and K Week had started, it was like the middle of K Week, and I found a box under my bed. And inside the box, it had like some of my favorite candy, and it had cards that said, open when you get your first A, or open when you feel overwhelmed, or open when you feel happy, or open when you miss your family. And then it also had a little necklace, and the necklace had the state of Georgia and then a little heart arrow to Kentucky. And I just thought it was so intentional of her. And she wrote me a long note. So definitely care packages that have a lot of intention, something that your student would really love. It kind of made me tear up a little bit, missing them so much. But just be really intentional with the care packages because they are like so sweet.
I'm getting a little misty just hearing you talk about this care package. I feel like I need to call my mom and have her send me something nice. So if a family member wants to send a care package to you, how would you get it? How does the mail work in the residence halls?
So, like for each dorms, they have a specific mailing address that is posted up right at the front desk, so it's pretty visible to every student who enter the building. So, whenever you're sending, okay, when you go to the post office, you could look at the mailing address and send it to that address. And the way how it works is that it comes in to the front desk and the mail is processed by the person at the front desk. Usually on weekdays, it is processed by the CAA, which is like the person who stays at the desk for majority of the days from like 8 to 4. And when it's after that is the RAs like me who process it and basically checks it in so that we can keep track of it so that we don't lose any of the packages or any care packages contain the gift cards that I know you see themselves. So it's all a process that is all intentional to keep the package safe.
I love that. And then also on campus, we have Amazon boxes. So if your student wants to go and pick it up at a Dropbox, we have those in both in the Student Center. We have them in the 90, and I think there's also some in the new residence hall I saw a video of, which is super nice and convenient over there. So lots of options for you. Keep those questions coming. This has been really fun so far. So keep those questions coming in our Q&A feature. We so far have talked about books, we've talked about move-in, we've talked a little bit about K-Week. While we're waiting for more questions, I just want to give a short plug for K-Week in that, K-Week starts on that Wednesday, the last day of move-in the evening, will be their first major event. K-Week is for students only. So I know we've had some questions come in from families on whether or not families go to K-Week, and that is not the tradition. The tradition is that once K-Week starts, that families will say goodbye, say their final farewell, and that students will start their journey here, during that orientation week. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't, if you need to drop something off during K-Week or you need to, connect with them in some way, you're welcome to do that. But when K-Week starts, we ask that families allow your students to participate in that by themselves, right? So that they can be making those connections, meeting the faculty and staff they're going to be working with, and building those relationships throughout that week. So that'll be really great. We have a question again about packages. So if families want to send packages, when is the first available time to send a package? When can they start sending those to the residence halls?
If I'm not okay, so during K week, the mailing services hasn't really started. It's most like after K week where like you can actually send processes, like send mails and packages. But if you do send a package during K week by accident or something, like it will be delayed, but it'll still be processed when we do open the mailing services after K.
Yeah, so it might be just a good rule of thumb to wait until that first day of class before you send any packages to campus, just so that we can make sure to get it there in a timely fashion.
I'm
for.
going to jump in quickly. There is a great FAQ page on the Big Blue Move-In website, and it addresses this one specifically and says mail delivery will begin on August 20th following the conclusion of Big Blue Move-In, and it asks that folks avoid sending items to a residence hall until move-in is concluded. It talks about the limited space, so if everyone's trying to ship all of their things, they it would exceed their capacity. So after August 20th is when it will start.
Excellent. Perfect. Love that. I will also say just a quick tip when you're thinking about having to move your student in. You might be thinking, how are we going to get all of this into our car, our vehicle? One of the tips that we have heard frequently from families in recent years is that they are sort of pre-purchasing items from stores in Lexington and then just picking them up at the stores when they arrive, so that they're not having to actually bring them with them in their vehicles. They just, pick them up at the whatever store is here in Lexington. So just a little tip for you as you're making your plans. It might make things a little easier for you. All right. So we've had some really good questions. Again, keep those questions coming. Let's talk a little bit to our students about, when you think about students who are struggling during their first year, it may not have been you or it could have been you, but if you saw students who were struggling during their first semester, what are some common mistakes that they made? It could be academic, it could be socially. What are some things that maybe families can help their students avoid doing that first semester, just to make sure that they're starting off successful?
Kind of like Stefan was mentioning a little bit earlier with time management, academically, I feel like I probably didn't start off on the best foot because I was so worried about like getting involved on campus, and really didn't manage my time well at all. I didn't manage time enough to study for my exams and things like that. So, that first exam, I didn't do the hottest on for sure. And I think I was really scared about it and just honestly thought that I failed and my life was over. But that just wasn't the case at all because I, reached out to my academic advisor and set up an appointment with her. And then we just kind of sat down and talked about how we can overcome this and how maybe next time we figure things out and, make a plan for studying and using all those tutoring resources that UK offers. And so we definitely talked with my chemistry class specifically. We had, I went to this study, and so that was just over, there's 2 locations at the Boone Center on Central Campus and then one at Jewell Hall, but it was more convenient for me to go to the Boone Center. So I just, found a time that worked for me and got that peer-to-peer tutoring. And so that really helped me kind of turn my semester around a little bit.
So coming in with a plan on time management would be helpful. Love that. What else?
For me, I know Grace spoke academically. I can kind of speak socially for this one. I didn't really know anybody coming in to UK. So something that I expected from my college life was I'm gonna make friends right away. Like I'm just gonna get involved now. It's all gonna happen now. And something that I really liked that my mom told me was like, because I was on the phone with her the second week of college, and I was like, Mom, it's not happening that way. I have like my roommate and I have like my LLP people, but like outside of that, it's like I'm kind of struggling a little bit. And she kind of had to remind me, Addison, it's only the second week. Calm down. Okay. And that's what she told me. And it really helped me kind of get back from that expectation of thinking everything might just fall into place how it's supposed to the second I get on campus and somebody will greet me with a song and dance. No. So just reminding your student that they shouldn't be feeling like they need to have this large friend group that they might have for the rest of their life, and kind of reminding your student that they don't need to join everything all at once at the very beginning, because you're still kind of getting comfortable to that college life. But yeah, that would be like my advice.
And then for me, I would say definitely like I got here and I went to K Week. I joined all the group me's and then nothing. I didn't leave my dorm. I was in my books and sorry, I was in my books and just that. Like I didn't want to go do anything. So I definitely just recommend like reminding your student that it is what they're going to make of it. If you don't want to, if you're not leaving your dorm, you're probably not going to be making friends. And if you're not at least giving some type of percentage towards what you want to like get to, then you're not going to get there. So I definitely just make sure like this is your college experience and you have to like make it what you want. If you want to make the friends, make the effort, put yourself out there, join the clubs, but don't forget at the end of the day that you're still here for school and that you need to like make the time to study and do all that. But like it shouldn't like yeah, you're here for school, but also make it fun. Like don't just hide in your room the entire time.
I feel like these are super great conversations to be having with students and families ahead of time, right? What are some other conversations that you feel like would be helpful for families to have with their students prior to coming to move in, things to sort of prepare them for college life? My first thought is, did y'all have a conversation about budget and about how much Starbucks costs? But what other conversations would be helpful?
To go off what Nikki said, I had a big conversation with my family before moving here about the finances and about spending money on DoorDash and all the things. Because honestly, we had talked about like I want to be involved and I want to really focus on those academics. And so we kind of agreed that I wasn't going to get a job at first. But then, my dad's calling me all the time saying, Grace, what are these DoorDash charges? What are these Amazon charges? And so I kind of was like, well, maybe I should get a job. And so I did check out UK jobs just on the website and saw all of the different offerings and things like that. And I've really enjoyed having a job on campus, just, making the connections with my friends and coworkers, but also with the faculty. They've just been great making connections with them as well and just around campus too.
I love that. Any other conversations that you feel like would be helpful to have for families and students to have before coming to campus?
I will definitely say, sorry, Taryn. I will definitely say a conversation that I had with my mom that was really important to me was kind of mapping out like the FaceTime calls and the calls and the texting and everything because I kind of had to talk to my mom about how like especially that like first week of classes that I was kind of still getting adjusted. I kind of wanted to see how it was on my own, kind of be more on my own. I did choose to come far away from home. So I definitely wanted that space to learn on my own and get that first week of college, And so I definitely had to talk to her about like when it might be okay to FaceTime, when I'm kind of in class and needing to be by myself a little bit, exploring. So definitely a talk about those FaceTime calls and when to call and when to text and when to check up on me and things like that.
I love that. That's great. All right, we are coming to the end of our time, but I want to make sure that those who are watching still have time to enter any last minute questions in if you would like to ask our students any last minute questions. And while we do that, would love to sort of wrap up with our final question of what do you wish your family knew? So what advice do you have for families? What are things that, as they are preparing to bring their student to campus that they should be thinking about? And maybe just some words of encouragement for our supporters out there.
So for me, I have an older sister. I was not the first one to leave the nest. I thought my parents were going to be like, this is a second girl, everything's fine, everything's good, right? it was not like that at all. So when I moved in and my parents took me out to dinner, and then they dropped me off, they were crying. My siblings were crying, and I was like, it's okay, I'm gonna be fine." Like so excited to go up to my room and like meet new people and everything like that. But then honestly, like I was really sad and I did miss my family. And so I wish that they knew that yes, I was also scared and I was also really excited, but I wish that they kind of trusted that I was going to be okay and I'm going to meet new friends and I'm going to be involved and do well academically as well. Just kind of all of the things that I knew that I could do on my own and I could learn these things because they've taught me those things. So I wish they knew that, they have given me the resources and to trust that they have parented me so well the past 18 years before moving off on my own and really to just, take their hands off the steering wheel and let me drive a little bit myself.
Grace, that's a great answer. And we had a question come in while you were talking, so I thought it might be easy for you to answer. If students are looking for a job on campus, I know all of you have jobs on campus. Is it easy to find a job? How would students go about finding jobs on campus?
It was pretty easy to find a job on campus. I've had both an on and off campus job, but the on campus job, it's pretty easy, in my opinion, to find them. I see that Kate sent the link for UK jobs, so that was just the best resource to look at all of the options that they had open. And so that's where I found the job that I have now, just because, you read the description a little bit and you see what it's all about. And then, the interview went really great, and I already loved the faculty that I was going to be working with, and just throughout this whole couple years that I've been here now, it's just been a great experience. So it's definitely pretty easy. They're very flexible with my class schedule, and they understand my course load and things as well. So if you're interested, or if your student is interested in getting a job, definitely recommend an on-campus one.
Great, thank you. Addison, what do you wish your family knew?
What I wish my family knew, especially my mom, was that the back in the day stories are wonderful. I love when my mom tells me how back in the day when I was in college, I was doing this and I was doing this, and this is what I suggest for you, and you should do this because I did this and when I was in college. But something that I wish she knew is that I am my own person and I like things done the way I like them, and when I am like going out for clubs or maybe even going out for jobs like this one, they're going to be different than the ones that she did in college because I have different interests than her. She was business, I was education, so kind of different. So just like telling her that I'm a different person than she is. And I love when she tells me about the things that she was doing because it kind of inspires me a little bit, but just remembering that I, again, am not her.
Karen?
For me, mine is so my parents, whenever I moved in, my mom bought me a card and it was like the Oh, the Places You'll Go card. And they filled it with a lot of gift cards. And I wish my parents knew that like I've run out of gift cards, I'm out of money. I really would like some more. But also like um maybe just a card. Like, I don't even need the gift cards. They could just send me a card and that would be really sweet too. But just like, don't like, I don't want to say forget about your students because I know you're not going to, but just know that if they're not reaching out to you, it's not because they don't want to, it's because they're probably busy. And maybe just send a text. Don't blow up their phone and call them, but send a text to be like, hey, how you doing? And just reach out.
For me, just piggybacking off what Taryn said, I really would have loved to get those gift cards because that sounds amazing. But if I'm really being honest, the big thing I want my family to know, specifically my mom, is that I know it's hard for me being away from Jamaica and me being far away from you, but it's okay to give me the space I need to actually make mistakes because well, I'm in fact gonna make mistakes because I'm a human and I did make some silly mistakes in my first year. I'm still making mistakes right now, but I've learned from all these mistakes and they've kind of helped me to become the person I am today. And I just want to tell her that it's okay to trust me, trust the person that she raised, because in my humble opinion, she did raise an amazing person that will eventually make her proud. And I just want to extend this to you guys as well. Just trust your student and ensure, just give them the space to make mistakes because we're all human I know y'all made mistakes as well, but your seniors going to make mistakes and their friends are going to learn from it and they're also going to make you proud.
I love that. That's such a great way to end our time together. I'm feeling a little nostalgic right now, and I love that. Well, thank you to all of our panelists for being here today, for sharing your insights into the student experience. We are very excited to have your students come into campus. We're excited to have you as part of our Wildcat family. If you see our first year experience ambassadors on campus during move-in, please say hi to them. I'm sure they will be happy to help answer questions. If you see Nancy or myself or Kate on campus, please stop us and say hello. We'd love to meet you as well. But in the meantime, we are here. Feel free to give us a call, email us at parents@uky.edu. And we're happy to answer any questions or concerns you might have so that you are ready for that move-in day. All right, thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Nancy, any last minute housekeeping?
Nope, I just put in the chat a reminder that we'll see everybody soon at a future Cat Chat Live, and everything they need to know is in the Cat Chat family community. Thanks so
Awesome.
much to the amazing first year experience ambassadors. It's been a great orientation season. It's been so fun to see all of our incoming Wildcats and their families. We'll have a few opening of tournament orientations in August, but it's been a blast being with this crew for the Big Blue Nation orientations this summer. All right, well, we'll wrap things up, and I hope everybody has a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend ahead. Thanks so much, and go Cats. Bye, everyone.